on the line right now. My name is Cyril Choquin, and I spend my life chasing the biggest, the fiercest, and the most powerful fish. And if there's one fish in Africa that can truly be called a brute, it's the African cubera. I've come to Guinea-Bissau in West Africa before, but this time I'm headed to a really remote region, the Bijagós Archipelago. Look at the fangs on this fish. The waters here are home to giant barracudas and sharks. And there are also really big cuberas, fish so powerful they can snap the strongest lines. And to make matters worse, getting to these remote fishing areas isn't gonna be easy. On land, it's a realm of snakes. In the water, there's stingrays and sharks. And the navigation is really dangerous. Whoa. But if the spirits are with me, I should be able to get that cubera. I'm in Guinea-Bissau, West Africa. I'm here after one of the most brutal fighters on the continent, the African cubera. I'm telling you, these fish are known for their violent attacks and extreme power. I've come to Guinea-Bissau before, but this time, I want to explore a more remote region of the Bijagós Archipelago. A sprawling cluster of 88 islands where I've been told they're huge cuberas. But before leaving for the Bijagós, I make a quick stop at the fish market to try to find more information about cuberas. This market is an important hub because fishing is one of the main commercial activities in Guinea-Bissau. That's a good sign. I'm seeing a lot of snappers, but just no giant cubera yet, but that's the right kind. That's the same family. Look at the size of those barracudas. Nice fish. There's some really big ones in the Bijagós Archipelago, really big barracuda. Bica não tem, hein? Sou bicuda? Obrigado. No sign of cubera, though. I keep looking for big cuberas, but I don't see any. And this is part of an unfortunate trend that I notice almost everywhere around the world. I see a lot of small fish, but big fish, very, very few. And that's something I've noticed on every single market around the world. Everywhere I go to, like, the big ones are harder and harder to come by. And that's a sign of overfishing. It's sad. Most of the industrial fisheries on the planet target large fish at the top of the food chain because of their high commercial value. And these fish merchants confirm exactly that. Bica grande tem? Não. Sou pequena, porque é difícil a pesca. Agora? They tell me that large commercial fishing vessels are emptying their waters and that local fishermen can't compete with them. That's why there are fewer and fewer fish species on the local market, and hardly any big ones. Well, I see all kinds of fish, but no sign of big cubera. I think it's gonna be hard to find one. I'm gonna have to go really far. Unfortunately, in many places around the world, to find the big fish, you need to travel to areas that are more and more remote. And that's exactly what I'm gonna do. But before that, I need to get some gear. Pour mettre un hamac, ça c'est solide?
Oui, c'est solide.
Oui? Prends 20 mètres. 20 mètres.
Ah, d'accord, où vous partez avec ça?
C'est pour attacher mon hamac dans les îles Bijagós.
Mais vous savez, là, dans les îles Bijagós, il y a des requins, il y a des serpents, c'est dangereux, c'est tellement dangereux.
C'est vrai?
Il faut porter beaucoup attention.
When the locals tell you that you better be careful, it's not a good sign. Je vais faire attention, mon ami. T'inquiète pas, je vais revenir entier.
Pas de problème, pas de problème.
I've had to deal with dangerous snakes before, but luckily, nothing bad's ever happened to me.
It can be pretty dangerous. We're just lucky it's not a cut and mouth.
But where I'm going, there are a lot of highly venomous snakes. Well, you know what? This time I'm not gonna take any chances. I'm gonna get myself some anti-venom just in case. I'm in the biggest hospital in Guinea-Bissau, and Dr. Abbas doesn't have good news for me, nor for anyone else in the Bijagós for that matter.
¿Y antiveneno no tiene?
No tenemos.
No hay.
Nunca tenemos.
¿No?
Nunca.
Wow. ¿Y cómo trata la gente, cómo se cura la gente que tiene problema?
Hay personas ya que creen que conocen raíces que pueden curar veneno.
But he doesn't believe that the traditional remedies work. And with the large number of deadly snakes on the islands, he's basically telling me not to get bitten because there's no treatment.
Pero otros hacen lo siguiente. Hacen de forma radical, amputando, cortando, se amputan todo el mano, radicalmente.
Se amputan las manos.
Sí, cualquier pequeño.
According to Dr. Abbas, the only way for the locals on the islands to survive a bite is to amputate.
Son acaba por a morir.
Espero que todo va bien. Espero que no nos vemos aquí.
So lots of deadly snakes and no anti-venom. But it's still on for the Bijagós.
I'm on my way to meet Nato. He's a local fisherman from the Bijagós. From what I was told, he really knows the fishing, and he can take me to the outer edges of the archipelago, where the fishing is really good, apparently.
¿Qué pasa?
Combustible.
¿Combustible? Falta combustible.
Esse 10 litros. Vai tirar para o patrão.
¿De boa gasolina?
Bom.
¿De boa calidad?
Boa qualidade.
Vamos a llegar a Keniamé con esa gasolina, ¿sí?
Frank.
With a couple of gallons of gas, we're back on the road. Let me tell you, I've already come a long way. But where I'm going is even deeper into the wilderness. Luckily, Neto is a fisherman who apparently knows this area really well.
Nato? C'est toi, Nato?
Oui, c'est moi.
Moi, c'est Cyril.
Cyril,
Ça va?
ça va bien. Présente mon frère. Il s'appelle Danfa.
D'enfant?
Ouais.
Bonjour. Bon dia.
Eh, c'est vraiment un beau bateau, ça.
Bijagós, here we go. Finally, feels good to be on the water. Et Nato, tu penses qu'on va prendre des gros cubera?
On va essayer, mais c'est très difficile à cette
C'est vrai? Non, mais l'important, c'est d'essayer. On va y arriver, j'ai confiance. Yeah, we're gonna give it our best shot. Really hard navigating around here because there's a lot of sandbanks that keep moving because of the currents and tides. They keep shifting.
On our way to our first stop, a village on one of the islands, Neto tells me that it'd be polite to offer them a fish, and if possible, a barracuda, because the people here really like him.
Et Nato, ça fait combien d'années que tu pêches?
Depuis que je suis petit, hein.
Et c'est comme ça que tu nourris ta famille, c'est en pêchant?
Ouais, pêcher. De toute façon, il n'y a que ça hein, ici.
Ah bah j'espère que je vais pouvoir te capturer un ou deux poissons pour t'aider, hein. Well, I hope I catch him some big fish.
We've been trolling for more than an hour, and nothing, not even a hit. And it's affecting the morale on board.
Tudo bem?
I don't think we should rely too much on Danfa to catch a fish. But seriously, we have to catch something for the village.
Here we go. I'm not sure what it is yet, but it's a big fish. It's a barracuda.
Allez, encore, allez.
Big barracuda. Big fish. C'est du gros, ça?
Ouais, c'est ça, Constance.
Big fish. Tu peux me prendre la canne, s'il te plaît? You gotta be careful with this fish. They have nasty teeth. You don't want to get bit by a barracuda, especially here. So we're pretty far from any medical support. Yes. All right. Guinean barracuda. Supposedly the biggest barracuda on the planet, bigger than the great barracuda. That's a big barracuda. It's got to be 30 pounds. And one of the differences between the great barracuda and this guy is that the Guinean barracuda, they have black chevrons along the body, whereas the great barracuda, they have black blotches along the body. And look at the fangs on this fish. You don't want to get bit by this. Nato, tu veux le garder, celui-là? Beau poisson, hein?
Ouais.
Il va être content au village, non?
Ouais.
This fish might look super dangerous, but it's not the real danger here. It's mostly tiger and bull sharks that I have to worry about. And talking about bull sharks, Neto wants to introduce me to someone who had a close encounter with one.
Donc il pêche, ok. So he was net fishing for mullet. He was waist deep in the water, and the water here is murky, so you can't really see what's going on in the water. And all of a sudden, he felt a presence by his leg, and before he knew it, boom! The shark got him. Ok. Et il sait quel type de requin c'était?
Je crois que c'est bulldog parce qu'il y en a beaucoup ici.
Des gros?
300 kilos.
300 kilos? Des bulldogs.
I'm not sure that hearing this story was such a good idea, because now Neto's telling me about a spot for cuberas on the other side of the island. And to fish there, I'll have to wade in the water. So while Neto heads to the next island to get some food, I'll try to catch a cubera. But first, I have to cross the island and make sure I don't come face to face with a snake. Now I understand why Neto insisted that I borrow his machete. Vegetation here is super dense. Mambas and puff adders are among the most dangerous animals in the Bijagós. Every year, snakes are responsible for the deaths of more than 30,000 people in sub-Saharan Africa.
It's crazy to think that it could be a mamba sitting on any of those branches, just ready to fall on me at any moment. Why can't, kind of fishing ever be easy?
I've been walking for over an hour, but finally, I see the ocean. This spot looks really good. There are big rocks everywhere, and cuberas like to hunt in rocky areas just like this. But if I want to reach them, I'll have to go in deeper. I just spent an hour walking in snake territory, but now I have to watch out for stingrays, and especially sharks. It's not very deep, but still, the young villager was attacked while the water was only up to his waist.
All right, let's make a move. This type of fishing, anyway, it's more of a hunt than fishing. You gotta look for the active fish, so you gotta keep moving, casting all over the place until you get a hit.
Over there, the point looks really good. There are a lot of rocks around and some deeper water.
All these rocks provide a perfect environment for cuberas, but on the other hand, it's treacherous to walk on them. They're slippery and super sharp.
I'm using a lure that's called a popper. It floats and it's concave on the front end. So basically, whenever I twitch the rod like this, it makes a big splash in front of the lure. And it also makes a loud noise that predator fish can hear from a distance. They think some bait fish is being hunted on the surface, so they come and investigate and hopefully they attack.
I thought it was a fish for a second there, but no.
My lure is snagged on a rock over there, but it's a really good lure. I really want to go get it, but here, these bull sharks, monster bull sharks, so I'm not sure about the swim out to the rock.
Des gros?
300 kilos.
300 kilos?
Here in Africa, there's always a little bit of a hesitation when it comes to swimming in the ocean.
I'm not too keen, but the rocks aren't very far away, about 50 feet. So here I go. I made it. And all in one piece. I got my lure back. And now, I'm in a better place to cast even further into deeper water.
Man, there are predators here. Those are jacks, but there might be a cubera in the bunch. Here we go. Fish on. Oh, big fish. It's a jackerel. Lost it. That was just a jack, though. It was not a cubera. Boom, 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 boom.
They may not be cuberas, but I can't pass up a chance at these jacks. And who knows, there might be a cubera among them.
Oh. Big fish! Not a cubera, but it's a nice jack. I told you there were some predators around here. You gotta be really careful when you hold a jack by the tail like I'm doing right now, because normally you put a pair of gloves on, but mine are buried somewhere in my backpack. But here, you know, the spine sticks out in sort of like a blade. It's really sharp. It can really cut your fingers. Beautiful jack. Unfortunately, it's not the cubera I'm looking for. Bye, buddy. See ya. Not what I wanted, but it's always cool to catch this fish. They're so powerful, so feisty.
For now, it's back to the village to spend the night. Tomorrow will be a new day to try and catch that cubera. Because of their isolation from the continent, certain villages in the Bijagós like this one have no running water, no electricity, and little access to medical care. People here rely mainly on fishing, breeding animals, and gathering. And one crop they depend on is cashew nuts. So Nato wants to introduce me to some women who have just gathered some. Hola.
This is the cashew. The way we eat it. But this is the fruit. This is the fruit. This is a ripe fruit. And here we got the cashew nut that they roast. And then once roasted, you break up the shell, and this is what you end up with. The nut. Ready to be eaten. Muito bom.
Gathering cashew nuts is an essential activity in the village, just like fishing for small fish close to shore. And that works out well, because Nato and I need something that'll help us catch that big cubera.
You know what? Fishing is usually better when you have bait, fresh bait, so that's exactly what we're gonna try to do here, is catch some bait.
A group of fishermen are on the water, and there's no time to lose. We let out the net as quickly as possible. They're hoping to catch some mullet, a small fish they love to eat here. We have to surround the fish with a net. Nato and I each pull on our end, and I gotta tell you, this net is super heavy.
It's exactly in this context that a guy from the village got attacked by a shark.
The fishermen hit the surface in order to push the fish into the net. We have to hurry. Sharks might be attracted by the school of mullet. We've surrounded the school of fish. Now, it's time to pull in the net.
So hopefully we catch a few so we can keep a couple to use as bait. Hey, c'est pour ça que t'as des gros muscles comme ça maintenant, je comprends. Hein? C'est ça, t'as fait ça toute ta vie? C'est vrai? Grandi en faisant ça. Here we go. Mullet. That's exactly what we're looking for.
And there's more than one. These guys really know how to fish with a net. And we've made a good haul of mullet. And I just need a few for a bait.
5 a 5. Tá bem? Obrigado.
Now that we have bait, we head out to sea. I've got a good feeling, especially since Nato is taking us directly to one of his best spots.
It's crazy that he can navigate without any GPS, without any modern technology at all. Nothing, just like that. I love it. C'est ici le spot à Cobia? Ouais.
On est sur l'épave là, mais attention, il y a de gros cubera là, mais en plus ça tire fort. Quand ça t'amène sur l'épave, c'est fini, ça cache tout.
Quand il rentre dans l'épave, c'est fini.
C'est fini. Hein.
Cuberas are fish that live along the bottom, and especially around rocks and shipwrecks. The only problem is that if the line rubs against sharp metal or rock edges, he can easily break.
Ouais, le plus gros que j'ai vu ici, c'est 50 kilos.
50 kilos?
Ouais.
He's telling me that his cuberas over 100 pounds here. Monster fish. Let's go catch him.
They might be 100-pounders down there, but Danfa doesn't seem too impressed. Either way, I send my bait straight down to the bottom. I can't imagine a fight with a 100-pound cubera. It must be insane.
Here he is. Fish on.
But instead of keeping the fight on the bottom like a cubera would, this fish rises straight to the surface. This is typical of Cobia.
It's a nice cobia. This fish has got to be into 40 pounds.
La cobia, ouais. Regarde comment ça tire là. Hop. Ah, c'est bien. Cobia.
That's a workout right there.
Now that it's close to the boat, I see how nice of a fish it is. It might not be a cubera, but I'm super happy.
This is another cobia. Vas-y, Nato, vas-y. Celui-là?
Ouais.
We've got 2 fish on. We've got to be careful not to tangle the lines, or we might lose both fish.
Tu me tiens la canne?
Ouais.
Merci, Nato.
Oh, il est balèze. Oh. Joli poisson.
Look at the size of this cobia. Beautiful fish. I'm really happy right now. Tu le veux? Tu veux le garder?
Non, en fait, les gros comme ça, ils sont pas bons à manger. Hein.
Ils sont pas bons à manger?
Non.
On le relâche alors?
Ouais.
Ok. Parfait.
Now that I've released my cobia, I gotta grab Nato's.
On la garde pour le village, celle-là, non?
Ouais, on la garde pour le village, ouais.
C'est un beau poisson quand même, hein? Ils vont être contents, non?
Ils vont être contents, ouais. Ils vont être très contents de ça, ouais.
Ouais, hein?
Ouais.
This one's for the village, but the one I released earlier was even bigger. Over 30 pounds.
Gros poisson! Super, man. Super, Nato.
It's not what I wanted, but it's always cool to catch a cobia. These fish fight so hard, it's unbelievable. Good practice for a cubera.
On va chercher un cubera maintenant?
Ouais, on y va, ouais.
We're on our way to another spot that apparently has some really nice cuberas. It's starting to get late, but it doesn't matter. Cuberas bite even at night. According to Neto, we're at a really good spot. He tells me that some very big cuberas have been caught here.
So in theory, it should be just a question of patience.
But unfortunately, there are no hungry cuberas to be found tonight. It's strange. According to Neto, on a full moon, they feed like crazy around here. I'd spend the whole night fishing, but we're all pretty hungry and tired, so I guess we'll have to head in. So we set course for a nearby island to make a fire, eat, and spend the night.
Comment tu fais pour naviguer la nuit comme ça? Avec les étoiles? Wow.
It's incredible how Nato can navigate in the dark, like an old-time sailor, by relying on the stars.
We ran aground on a sandbank.
That was crazy. Even the engine went flying.
Nato, tu veux que j'aille pousser? Ouais?
Fais gaffe, il y a beaucoup de raies là.
Well, looks like I have a date with the stingrays.
Alors c'est le pouce.
But stingrays aren't the only thing I'm worried about. There's sharks here too.
Ok, ça bouge.
I can feel the boat is moving.
Tu peux m'aider au moteur un peu?
Ouais.
We gotta get this boat off the bank, so I can get out of these waters as soon as possible. We're lucky the engine wasn't damaged, because it hit the sandbank pretty hard.
Là, ça bouge, là, c'est bon. Ok.
That was intense, but we made it. It feels good to be back on land, by a warm fire. And for dinner, plain rice, because we're keeping the fish for the village.
En tout cas, la pêche, difficile le cubera.
Ouais, le cubera.
Nato tells me that people around here love to eat cubera, but it's the hardest fish to catch.
Il va se cacher dans un trou.
Ouais.
C'est le poisson le plus difficile à sortir.
Il y en a, mais c'est un peu difficile. Mais quand ça fait comme ça, tu peux aller voir le roi. Hein.
Le roi?
Ouais. On fait une petite cérémonie, quoi.
Une cérémonie?
Ouais. On fait tout le temps un peu ça, on croit beaucoup à ça.
C'est vrai?
Wow, imagine, here you go see the king to do a ceremony to bring you luck. That's cool.
Ce soir, si je veux aller pêcher un peu du bord, il y a de l'autre côté de l'île, il y a des spots, il y a du cubera.
Il y a du cubera, mais il faut traverser la forêt, mais fais attention. Hein.
Oh, quoi, les serpents encore?
Il y a les serpents là-bas, oui.
Peut-être pêcher ici finalement, même si c'est pas bon.
On second thought, I'm not going fishing anywhere tonight. I'm gonna get some rest, so we can leave early in the morning and catch that elusive cubera. I slept well on the beach, and I got a good feeling this morning. This could be the day.
Ici, on est sur le paf, il y a beaucoup de couverts, il y a beaucoup de poissons là-dedans.
If this spot is anything like the outer wreck, it's gonna be intense. In general, when the right bait is dropped into this kind of structure, and if the predatory fish are active, they take it right away.
Fish on. Here we go.
I'm pretty sure it's not a cubera. Judging by the rapid tail movements, I think it's a jag.
It's a little jack crevalle. I could tell it was a jack crevalle because I could feel the movements of the tail in the line. Short and sharp movements like this. Boom, 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 boom. Very typical of the jack's fight.
This one's going to the village. We set course for another spot closer to shore. By trying different spots, we should end up finding the right one.
Touche. Vas-y. Décolle du fond. Vas-y, c'est un carpe. Mets encore des freins. Vas-y, c'est un carpe. Vas-y. Frein, c'est le gros.
This fish is so powerful, it could only be a cubera.
Mets les freins, je te dis.
I tighten the drag to try to stop it, but it's not working.
Mets encore des freins. Il va rentrer dans les cailloux là. Gros jabar.
That was a monster fish. C'est la tresse qui a cassé, hein? man, that was the cubera. That's exactly what I wanted. That's the fish I wanted. Brutal take, and the fish started taking off towards the rocks. That's why I was putting more drag, trying to put more pressure on the fish, but boom, it still broke me off. I'm telling you, there's so much drag on this reel. Look, I can barely, look, I'm sure. I can't pull any line. I can turn the spool. Look, I can turn it, but I would need gloves to actually pull some line out of the reel. But this fish, he was ripping line as if there was no drag at all on the reel. Ça, c'était un cubera, hein, c'est sûr.
C'est sûr. T'as vu, il partait dans les fonds.
I definitely had a huge cubera on. And even though I kept putting more drag on to try to stop it, it still broke my 100-pound braided line as if it was nothing. So far, I've caught some really nice fish, but still no cubera. Actually, I did have one on the line, but it was so powerful that it broke my 100-pound braided line like it was a piece of thread. I'm beginning to lose hope, but Neto still believes we can catch one. According to him, we should contact the spirits at the ceremony he told me about.
Quand ça fait comme ça, tu peux aller voir le roi. Hein?
Le roi?
Ouais. On fait une petite cérémonie, quoi.
Une cérémonie pour porter bonne chance?
Pour porter bonne chance.
C'est ici le village où il y a le roi?
Ouais, c'est ici, ouais.
Et il y a des rois dans tous les villages des Bijagós?
Ouais, chaque village, il y a le roi.
Chaque village a un roi.
Neto tells me we need a chicken for the good luck ceremony. The only problem is, around here, they're not in cages. But who knows? I might be better at catching a chicken than a cubera. I'm gonna catch you.
Not easy to catch a chicken. Here, it's what they have to go through every day. If you want to eat, you gotta catch your chicken.
The villagers start with a dance in order to summon the spirits.
That's what I love about Africa. They got rhythm. Cool, hein?
Ouais.
Ça va nous porter chance pour la pêche, tu penses?
Ouais, je crois, hein. On croit beaucoup à ça, nous.
The rhythm is so powerful that I have no choice but to join in the dance. And if it can increase our chances of catching a big fish, why not?
I hope all this good energy is gonna bring me a cubera.
The people here are so nice and generous. It's really cool. But suddenly, the atmosphere takes a turn to the dark side. First, a type of sorcerer asks me to drink some really strong alcohol from a goat's horn. Suddenly, the king appears. He's not the kind of king I had imagined, and he doesn't look very reassuring. Maybe it's the knife in his hand, or the fact that he's downing a lot of that alcohol. And now, I think he asks me to get down on my knees. Neto tells me they're performing this ceremony because they really want me to bring them a big fish to eat.
Et ils veulent le manger? Ok. Donc ils veulent vraiment le cubera. Faut le ramener.
Uma bica grande. Many people who live in the Bijagós are animists. They believe in spirits, which inhabit objects and living beings. But in order to summon these spirits, unfortunately, sacrifices must sometimes be made.
I don't even want to think about what's going to happen with you.
And to think that it was me who caught that poor chicken. but sacrifices are part of the culture here. And in any case, I'm sure that chicken is gonna get eaten.
Qu'est-ce qu'il dit?
Non, ils disent que pour ne pas qu'il voit honte, il faut que tu l'attrapes, le gros cubera.
On va le ramener. On va le prendre d'abord. Bika, grande. Ça?
I may have the king's blessing, but this puts a lot of pressure on me to bring a cubera to the village. So now, I have no choice. I have to catch one. Here we are, at a new spot. And Nato asks enfants to break out the handlines.
On va pêcher avec ça, maintenant.
Ok. Donc il y a la corde ou ça?
C'est la même.
C'est la même chose?
C'est la même chose.
Donc on va se faire couper les doigts maintenant, c'est ça que tu veux dire? Ok, c'est parti. From now on, handline. Certainly one of the most basic fishing techniques in the world. At the end of it, a hook here, on which will be a bait, a sinker, attached to the line because the cuberas, they live on the bottom, so you have to bring that line, that bait on to the bottom. No rod, no reel, and no fingers. I think I'm gonna put a pair of gloves on because it's just too harsh on the fingers.
I've fished with a handline many times before. In certain conditions, it allows you to pull much more powerfully than with a rod.
Watch your fingers, guys.
But it can be super dangerous. In Fort Myers, Florida, I was told a terrible story.
This cat that we know had to wrap small line around his hand, couldn't get the line from around his hand, and cut his thumb off.
But Nato doesn't seem to worry about it too much.
Well, I hope the king was right. I hope the ceremony brings us a big cubera.
We've just put our baits in the water, and it seems to me that the spirits we contacted just might be with me.
Oh.
Freno.
Essaye! That's a cubera! It's under the boat, I can see it. It's a big cubera. I try with all my strength to stop it from ducking back into a hole, but it's almost impossible. This fish is just too strong. Unstoppable! We got a monster fish on the line right now. On est au bout de la bobine. I can't stop this fish. Ah! Oh no! No! Désolé, Nato. T'inquiète pas, j'ai de la ligne, je t'en donnerai. That was a giant.
Ça m'a coincé dans la main.
Ouais.
C'est coincé dans la main ici.
Unstoppable!
Unbelievable, the size, the power of this animal.
Maybe asking the king for that big of a cubera wasn't such a good idea.
Uma bica grande.
These seem impossible to catch. But we can't give up. We just have to do it. So we head to another spot, a remote reef that Nato has heard about, but has never been to.
Whoa!
We hit a sandbank.
Tiens, regarde, il se remplisse pas le bateau. The problem with the sandbanks is that they keep moving. They move all the time with the tides and currents.
And they're really hard to see.
C'est la descendante en ce moment, hein? Ça descend, hein?
Yeah.
On est coincé.
The tide is outgoing. We might be here for a while.
Si on pousse tous, on devrait réussir à le reculer un peu, non?
the boat is stuck and the tide is dropping really fast. This sandbank is dry, and suddenly, so are we. We have to wait for the tide to rise, so it looks like we'll have to spend the night in the boat. It might not be the most comfortable place to sleep, especially when it smells like fish and gasoline. But sleeping in the middle of nowhere under the stars, I love it. We haven't slept much, but the tide has begun to rise and the boat has started to move. One last push to free the boat from the sandbank, and finally, we're afloat. We're pretty lucky. There was no damage to the engine, nor the hull. We head to that underwater reef that Nato has heard is good for cubera. Even though I'm kind of losing faith, my bait is already in the water, and Nato also throws one in. We're burning in the sun. Nato is tired, and Danfa too. I'm holding on, but just barely. At this point, even a small fish would do.
Fish on.
It pulls super hard, and seeing how it wants to stay at the bottom, it's gotta be a cubera. I pull as hard as I can, so he won't swim into a hole.
Yes.
It's a cubera. It's coming up.
Yes! I see some red. Look at that. Yes!
C'est joli poisson, ouais.
Well, it's not the monster I was hoping for, but at least the ceremony worked. I got one. My gosh, the power of these fish. The power to having that tail, a paddle-like tail, one flick of that tail, and it's you just can't stop them. They're unstoppable, like a freight train, especially on a handline. I thought he was gonna take my fingers off.
Merci, hein.
De rien du tout.
Merci.
C'est grâce à toi. Merci, Anfa.
This has been a crazy adventure. I came to a super wild and remote region in search of a fish that I knew would be difficult to catch. But I love the Bijagós Archipelago and its welcoming people. And on top of that, I got to catch some big fish.
Right, big cobia. Nice.
So in the end, it was worth getting spat in the face by the king. Because even if it's not the giant I was hoping for, yes, a freaking cubera, I now have a nice fish to bring back to his village. And all of this would have never been possible without my new friends Danfa and Nato.
Why can't like kind of fishing ever be easy?